Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Shane and I are back for another Survivor What If, this time with Survivor 42 runner-up Mike Turner. Mike, welcome to the Tribe of Nerds.
Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
To have you.
Yeah, we're
Thank
super
you.
excited. Also, the winner of the first Survivor Vanquish fans versus favorites mini.
Don't forget that.
That was me.
Yeah.
Listen, I practiced on Survivor so that way I can win the real one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to hear that.
All right, so we're gonna ponder the multiverse with you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
If we changed one thing in Survivor history, how would it impact your Survivor trajectory? And your scenario is obviously you were on the Vati tribe and you had this crazy tribal council where Jenny goes out, Daniel and Hai go into this giant war at tribal council, trying to flip the other. And so
Danny didn't do a really good job, let's be honest.
Yeah. So what if instead Jenny ends up staying in the game? How does that impact your Survivor journey?
You know, I thought about this question a lot over and over because obviously my first alliance in the game was with Jenny and she was my ride or die. And I always say, like, man, if somehow I didn't lose my vote, she wouldn't have been out. And how would that have changed? And I always said, it would have been great. I would have had a great ally with me. We would have went deep in the game. But you have to remember, though, if she didn't go out, maybe I'm out next.
Right.
It changes the trajectory of the game. So it's hard to say. Here's one thing I will say. We would have been ride or dies until we both went out. Now, that could have been next. It could have been, we could have made the merge together, which would have been good. But that's the funny thing is every little thing that happens in Survivor, I mean, from the grandest to the most minute that happens on Survivor changes the trajectory of your game and the game itself. So it's a very hard question. I'm thinking, I'd have a friggin' person I could trust. We'd go deep in the game. But the truth is, there's so many other things that would change because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I might go out sooner, a lot sooner.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about because it was between Jenny and Lydia at that vote. So
yes.
It would be Lydia that goes out instead there. So
yeah, and I will remind you that Hai, who actually was going to go to Rocks for Lydia, helped vote her out like 3 days later.
Yeah, that is crazy. I do remember that on the show, and I'm like, wow, Hai just immediately turning on the person you tried to save.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But hey, you know what? Sometimes Survivor, just you go by a feeling, things happen, and you just do what you think is right at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane, you have anything more on this?
Yeah, so when you lost Jenny, like obviously that's your ride or die, as you just said. So when you go back to camp, like what are your feelings? Are you like down in the dumps? Or are you just like, I'm gonna pick myself up and get back to it?
Well, obviously I was a little pissed because of Daniel and Chanel both were lying. And I went into survival mode. At that moment, I realized that I was now on the bottom. Because obviously Hai and Lydia were a team, and Chanel and Daniel I was alone. But luckily for me, what happened was I went to High before Tribal and said, hey, High, what do you want to do? I'm not a little confused here. I really don't have any allies. I don't really know who you want to vote for. What are you thinking? And he told me to vote for Lydia. Now, at the time, he was just trying to play me, but it worked to my advantage. So we get back to camp, and I look at High and I go, why would you tell me Lydia? I asked you, and I voted Lydia because you told me. And that's when he says, I got to talk to Mike. He's the only one I owe an apology to. He takes me to a side and says, I just want to apologize to you. And I realized at that moment, I can make High take me in with him and Lydia, and we become a strong alliance against Daniel and Chanel. And he wound up helping me without even digging him because he thought I was doing what he said. But I was voting Lydia no matter what. That was the game plan. So it worked out for me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You're able to make it way farther in the game because of it. So
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So if Jenny was still there, what do you think your odds of making it to the final tribal are? Or do you think her being gone really like helped your game come in place and you got where you got?
You know, here's the things. I always felt that if I can get to the merge, I would have an opportunity to go deep in the game because I would just socially interact with everybody and know everybody. And because that in my normal life, I like to talk to people and I like to know what makes them tick and what they do and how they do it. And that's, that's part of a social game on Survivor. And I always remembered whenever I watched Survivor, because I'm a big fan also, is there was always a point when people wondered if you remembered what they talked about themselves to you. And so I made a point when I went on that I was going to ask people about themselves so that later on, if I go deep, I'd be able to connect with them on what they thought was just a throwaway line for them where I remembered. So I made sure that I did that. So I think if Jenny did survive that tribal, I think she would have made the merge, which would have changed the jury, which wasn't a good jury for me at the time. Yeah. So it might have changed the jury. Chanel might have gone out, and Chanel did not like me at all on the show. Did not like me. So once she became queen of the jury, being the first jury member, she had the opportunity that everybody came into the jury, and then High was pissed at me because I blindsided him. So now I have, you have people darkening your chances of winning by not speaking well of you to the jury members coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I made an assumption that they would all know my game, and I didn't explain it as well. I thought, when they go out, they're going to tell them what I just did. But that doesn't happen, and that was a bad gamble on my part. That I thought they would know it, and I wouldn't have to explain everything I did. So I wasn't prepared in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the final tribal, do you think it was kind of already decided, like they already had their minds made up, or was it down to the performance of you and Marianne at final tribal?
Well, it's funny because that final tribal, obviously on TV, it's about 25 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, but we were there for like 6 hours, and quite frankly, it was a bloodbath. It was a lot of going back and forth, arguing, them telling me what I didn't do, me saying what I did do, and it's and I don't think it was decided before that, but I take a lot of the blame for it because I didn't fight for it as much as I should have. And I was more worried about what people thought about me as opposed to saying what my game was. And quite frankly, I went in there probably a little too cocky because once I beat Jonathan in Fire, I really thought I had the game won because I did so much. I had the idol. I made a lot of big moves. I was socially active. I won the final 5, immunity. I thought I did enough to win. I took out a lot of, very strong people in the game, including Omar. Omar was I know Marion gets a lot of credit for that, but the truth is, I'm the one that talked Marion into that. She had no idea what Omar was. I told her and showed her. And that's when she said, I will not be led like a sheep, because she realized she was being led by him. And to me, the biggest point of the game that hurt me was Lindsay not playing her idol on Omar, which is the move you got to make in that spot. If you're in the final 6 and you have an idol and you can only use your idol till 6 and it's hanging out, why wouldn't you give it to your closest ally to make sure he doesn't get voted out.
Right.
And so when I said we can't vote for Omar, Lindsay's going to give him the idol. It makes no sense. And I was thinking if we voted for Omar and Lindsay played the idol, they were going to vote for Jonathan, and Jonathan would be out. And I didn't want that to happen. So I said, we got to make sure me and Jonathan put a vote on somebody else in case she doesn't play the idol. But we couldn't understand in any realm how she wouldn't play the idol for him. And quite frankly, it was one of the worst moves I've ever seen on Survivor. She went home with it in her pocket, and she lost her out. Lindsay would have been in the final 3 if she gave Omar the idol.
Yeah.
She would have been in the final 3. Instead, she didn't. Omar's out. She loses her ally. And I win 5, and now she's going home.
Right. Yeah, it very much backfired on her.
Yeah.
Yes, not a great move. I remember asking her, and she's like, "Well, I relaxed. I won the immunity idol, so I didn't think it was going to matter." And I'm like, "How could you not give him your idol? How could you not do that?" And quite frankly, that's why I gave Miriam my idol. At first, I was going to keep it to say I'm not even going to use it. I said, "You know what? I got to give it to somebody in case something happens."
Right.
I would never want to say I didn't use my idol. So I gave it to Miriam just to show, quite frankly, to show her that I would, because I told her I would give it to her if she voted for Omar. And she did.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yes.
Yeah. So if Omar gets the idol from Lindsay, like you just said, you think Lindsay's in the final 3. So who do you think's in the final 3 with her in that scenario?
Well, so if she gives him the idol, obviously, I think either Romeo or Jonathan are going home.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think at the end of the day, it probably would have been Jonathan. So that leaves us in the final 5. Quite frankly, Omar was a good puzzle doer, so he might have beat me in the final 5. Okay. So if he beats me, I'm using my idol, which Omar then would have nullified because he had the idol nullified that they never showed. Okay. I'm out at 5. So now you have Lindsay, Marianne, Romeo, and who did I just miss? Lindsay. You have those 4 in the finals. And the chance of her getting to the final 3 are great.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I did want to ask about your relationship to Jonathan because we know you both are close. So, and I know, like, from meeting Jonathan over the Edge last year, he's a great guy. So I'd love to hear about your relationship to Jonathan.
Well, on the show, we kind of connected, because of, him being different, me being different when I was young, and we kind of connected on, the bromance kind of thing. And a lot of relationships that develop while you're on the island are quite frankly desperate relationships because you're fighting for your life out there. You're hungry, you're miserable. And a lot of them don't make it off the game because, you're back in your real life. You go back to your own world. What you connected with out there, maybe you're not as much the same as you thought you were. Well, that's the completely opposite with me and Jonathan. When we got back, we realized we were both real to each other out there. There was no bull crap. We were real to each other. And quite frankly, our friendship has gotten stronger since then. And he's one of my closest friends now. And vice versa. We talk 3-4 times a day. We break each other. I break his balls all the time, which I love because, he's a very big Christian. And even though I'm a Christian, I'm a Northern Jersey Christian. So I can say stuff to him that gets him upset. Which I love doing, by the way.
Yeah.
I see that, yeah. So given like how close you are, I mean, I feel like you probably had a very, very strong shot of getting on Survivor 50. And if you played with him, would your relationship be able to like withstand the game? Like if you had to vote him out, could you, or how would that work?
Well, here's the beauty with me and Jonathan's relationship. We've always had a deal. Even on the Island of 42, me and him never had an alliance. Everybody says, "Oh, you guys were." We were never aligned. We never talked. Here's what we said: we're going to look out for each other. We like each other. We get the final 5. Gloves are off. You do what you got to do. And quite frankly, Jonathan wanted me to go to fire, and he wanted to take me out in fire because he thought I was the one that was going to win. And I admired that because that's what you got to do. And I would have did the same thing to him. So I think it would have been. If we played together, we would have had a target on our back, so we couldn't go in there looking like we're buddy, even though everybody in the Survivor community knows, and whoever went back knew that. But we don't hold what you're playing in the game in our personal life. We're playing the game. As long as you play within the rules of the game. I play cards a lot. I love playing cards, and I bluff a lot. And I beat some of my friends in cards for a lot of money. And guess what? They're pissed off. And they might even be mad at me a little bit, but at the end of the day, it don't affect our personal relationship, and they kind of respect that I made that kind of move. That's how I look at Survivor. And honestly, that's how everybody should look at Survivor. It's not personal. You're playing a game, and as long as you don't cheat, nobody should hold how you play the game against you outside the game.
Right.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, what are your thoughts on Survivor 50, Mike? We know from when you went on our hap recently that you said you almost were on the show on Survivor 50. So
Yeah, I think I was one of the last cuts. I was like cut, part of that last group. I got the call, and then I saw Joe was on. And I figured, hey, there's my archetype. Joe probably got on, from 48 is my archetype. He probably got it. It was between me and him, and quite frankly, he's a great choice. He played a great game. He's very entertaining. I would have been better, but that's fine.
Yeah, I know. Where's all the representation from seasons 41 through 44? It's just Jonathan.
I agree 100%. Listen, Survivor's been doing this a long time. Production they don't owe me nothing. They don't owe any of us nothing. If anything, we owe them something because they gave us an opportunity to play one of the greatest games of all time and introduce me to this world that I thought just a TV show, the Survivor world, even just being on this podcast. So I'm extremely grateful. The only thing I don't understand is you have the new era, is obviously from 41 to 49, and you chose 5 people from 48 and 49, which we haven't seen yet. I don't think it was a great representation of the new era. And there's a lot of, from 41 to 47, there are a lot of really good players that, deserve to play. And when you're like old like me, we don't have many opportunities left. Give me the opportunity to show what I still could do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I'm very, very grateful to Survivor. They've given me, this other life that I have outside, my normal life, which was great already, where I can do a lot of things that I never thought I could do before.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Yeah. Well, Shane, you have anything else for Mike?
No, I just want to say it was a pleasure having you here. Always fun. I wish we were going to be watching you on Survivor 50, but hopefully they learn their lesson and do more returning seasons. And
yes.
All soon. We
want more returning seasons, right, guys?
Yes.
I love that.
I do actually, and as a fan, I love returning seasons. I really do.
Yeah. Absolutely. I enjoy every time they do returning seasons and just like seeing who comes back and then rooting on my favorites every single time.
Exactly. And see how they change their game, if they learn their lessons, And here's what I'll say, guys. When I'm going to do something, and when I got notified that I was going to be on something, I got ready for it really, really hard. And I'm very good the first time I do something, but I'm really, really good the second time I have to do it because I learn from my mistakes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for coming on here. This has been great. So with that, everybody go check out more of our Survivor What Ifs and our Survivor 1 through 50 series. Subscribe, and we'll see you all next time on The Tribe of Nerds.
Thank you, Shane and Jake. I appreciate it.